Hello everybody and welcome to April, the 4th of April, the start of April, and the sun is absolutely beautiful, and it has been for the last 3 days really. And today right now I'm in Maudsley, and the purpose of this video is I want to explain the truth around Penwortham, this area, and really this part of the northwest. So this right here, this whole area of land surrounding Tarleton, Maudsley, Rufford, and into Burscough, and also into towards Southport near Churchtown, was once the biggest freshwater lake in the whole of England. Bigger than Windermere, bigger than any of the lakes in the Lake District, and it was seriously the biggest lake in the whole of the country. And it was drained by Thomas Fleetwood and whoever else did it, I don't know. Thomas Fleetwood was the main guy, it says on the information on the internet. So this was the biggest lake, drained into ditches into the sea. But this freshwater lake that was here, this area of land, which is the land of Albion, is an energetic point in the land. Now most people, when you think of the Arthurian legends and King Arthur, they straight away go to Cornwall and they go to Bodmin Moor, the Dosmary Pool, they go to Tintagel Castle, which yes, they all have their truths, they all have their links to Arthur and King Arthur and Albion. But this also is one of the strongest links and an energetic point in the land for the world, because this was the biggest freshwater lake in England, Martinmere, and legend has it that Sir Lancelot of the lake threw Arthur's sword into this lake, and Arthur, so this is the lake connected to Arthur, not the one in Cornwall. It's Martinmere was actually the lake where Excalibur was thrown. If you look, it all points the legends to here. Yes, there is definitely links to other places, but there's strong links to Martinmere Lake, and the biggest freshwater lake in England when it comes to Arthur. And so there must be a connection as to why it was thrown here. And Albion, I tell you, this is an energetic point in the land, and it still holds that energy. It still holds that energy, even though it's the most vastly changed landscape in the country, from now farmland, from what it was as a lake. And soon I'm going to be showing you towards Penwortham, the ancient oak forest, the ash forest, and I'm going to show you the spring network, the castle that was once there. So if you just actually put an image in your head about the actual landscape, the way it's changed over the years, that it was once a completely different area completely. And you just picture it in your head being the freshwater lake, the biggest lake in England, the castle, the forests, the spring networks, the little villages. You begin to get a different picture of this land completely to what it is now. And it's sad to see it so different, but the energy is still here, even though it's completely transformed. So everybody, I am here next to the River Ribble here, and this is the site of Penwortham Castle, just up there. Now, as you know through all of my other videos, castles and all sorts of these other structures were situated always right near the water. Now this was not for the reasons we've been told about. It's because of the water and its importance in the electrical grid. These were the castle moats and things like these. These were all part of the electrical grid if you go through my other videos. But the true purpose of castles, along with the electrical purposes, are yet to be discovered in my opinion. And we're not being told the truth about what the castle structures really were. All I know is that they resemble water towers, churches resemble castles, castles resemble cathedrals, and they were all to do with the electrical grid. But I also have a feeling that they always give a half truth, and the castles we even had a greater importance than the electrical grid. So this one here is situated, I have heard, on a ley line. Now these are important energy parts in the area, in the land, and I talk a lot about these in my last couple of videos about energy and ley lines and all of this. So this Penwortham Castle was apparently situated in one of these ley lines, and there is hardly any information about Penwortham Castle apart from there's nothing left of it apart from the church, which looks exactly like a castle that I'm about to show you after. There's a little bit about on this narrative here that the council have put, but they've hardly left us with anything apart from it was built between 1086 and 1230, well, not built between, sorry, it stood between 1086 and 1232, so that was a long time ago, and it's not been here for such a long time, and yet there's no information surrounding this castle and its purposes and why it really disappeared, apart from a fire, because there always seems to be a fire in every single building in the world. You know, could they not be a bit more careful? No, there was never a fire. Fires were not being burnt down unless it was deliberate, but other than that they were just completely dissolved deliberately, these structures, to hide the original functions and the importance of these sites. Because the main purpose of this video is I want to paint a picture of exactly what this area really was in its true history, and it really is completely different to what we imagine. The little towns and horrible cities, really, in my opinion, like it is now, really in the past was something completely different. Ancient forests, castles, lakes. It's unbelievable the difference a couple of, well, hundreds if not thousands of years make. So right now I'm going through a very lovely but very noisy woodland, as the dual carriageway is just up there, and the site of Penwortham Castle is now right up there. You can't quite see, there's a bit of strange camera lighting going on here, but there's full of wild garlic everywhere, like in the lakes and like everywhere this time. It's lovely to see, and it's a lovely, really lovely woodland here, but I don't think it's an ancient one like I'm going to be showing you later on the next part of this film, with the ancient woodlands where we're down there, because the trees to me look relatively new in this woodland, and that suggests to me that this woodland wasn't originally here when this castle was here. I reckon this landscape was completely different. This woodland is new. There you can see what's left of the castle up there, which is all there is the so-called church at the top. You can still see a little water network system going on here below the castle in this woodland. You see, look at the size of these trees here, very thin, all very thin. And I'm going to show you the size of some of them in the ancient woodland after. So now I'm going to take this path up here and I'm going to show you the actual castle, what's left of it. So this cross here, I'm not exactly sure what this is, but I've heard there was a sacred well here at some point, and there was another one at the bottom of this road that I'm going to show you after, and it was used by the castle. And I've talked a lot about springs recently and how important they were to the old world and how important they still are to us, and I'm going to show you the actual source of the spring that I found is still going, even though they've cut the wells off. They used to supply the whole of Penwortham. So it says here that Penwortham is one of the most ancient parishes of Lancashire, and these are some of the structures that have actually been knocked down. So here we have I think this was the priory or the monastery, I'm not sure, but this was a structure that's been knocked down that I'm going to show you the exact place of after. This is all that's left of the mound, the burial mound of the tumuli. This is I'm going to talk about what the ancestors really could have done with these, and I've talked about that in some of the other videos about these burial mounds, and they could have gone inward to commune with ancestors, and these are all on energy lines about going inwards, and then yes, they could have buried the dead there and then communicated with their ancestors with these burial mounds. This is a possible, I'm not certain this was one, but I know that they did have these elsewhere, a lot of them in England, and I think there's two, possibly could be two more in Penwortham actually. But yeah, this is a possible reason for this, but they say this is the site of the castle and what's left of it, but to me it's too small to be. So and this is, I think this was some other structure that's been knocked down as well. So it says here there was little information available from the priory. So yeah, and this was the Fleetwood family actually. The same, I think it might be the same people that were involved with the drain of martinmere. I'm sure it is. The Fleetwood family, the Thomas Fleetwood. I'm sure it was, yeah. But this is all really interesting information. I mean, the whole area around here just screams history, if only of you have the eyes to notice. So everybody, this is the so-called church now, and To me, look at the turrets at the top. To me, this is what's left, what's been left of the original castle here on the site. So yeah, this is still such an old structure. To me, they've left the bit where the sound would have amplified from the castle, because this is the bell tower that's still there now, and you can hear it from where I live about 3 miles down. So they've got the slits in the side. Can you see there? These were the echo out the sound for such a long distance. And this is all I remember. The electrical grid was sound, frequency, all the waves, the water. It was electromagnetism and worked with the ether. So this was, I reckon, was still intact, the bell house almost. So this would have made the energy from the sound for the castle it would be. So this is still intact, still original. That side isn't though, that side's new. You can tell by the brickwork. And for me, you can tell this isn't a new build almost on top of a Celtic site or a Druid site, because there is no groves of trees, there is no, well, what's left anyway, there possibly could have been, but to me, there's no groves of yew trees, there's no sacred, there's only this slightly big one, but I don't think this is too old, it looks older than it is. So this, to me, is not a church, it's a proper part of the castle that was here. Because they used to build new churches, newer builds on top of the energy sites of the Celts and Druids. So for me, this was an original castle. It's not something that was built on an original site almost of the Druids and the Celts, like I've talked about in my other videos, which a lot of churches were to harness the energy that was once there and the Celts knew was there, if you know what I mean. Just look at the drop from where we are here at the castle to the woodland I was there before, where the road was. So look, this was here, look, this was one big, you can see it's on top, it's a fortified place. Incredible. And I don't mean fortified originally for what we've been told with the armies and all of that rubbish. I'm talking about a purpose. I'm talking about this was built clearly for a function, where there would have been water all around the castle. And if you look through my other videos, I explain more. I'm not going to explain too much about the purpose of that here, but have a scroll through my other videos. Structures like this were built for an exact purpose. So this is the site where they say the castle was. So we've got the church there, so-called church, and the site of the castle. It's too similar. They would have all been on this area, the entire thing. They would have all been connected. I'm just going to have a wander through what's left now of the place, which is a graveyard. It's a fun thing to do, to look between the lines, look for things hidden in plain sight but that you wouldn't always suspect. But I don't think there is actually much in this particular area. It'd be interesting to excavate the area, but as it's a graveyard, I don't think they'll be doing that anytime soon. But in the background over there you can see St Walburg's and another structure as well, so that's the city of Preston in the background. The river separates from Penwortham and Preston. I'm not sure how original these bricks are here, but these possibly could be from the original site. So before I show you the spring, the well that was provided for, the castle used, sorry, I'm going to just quickly talk about the whole spring network around Penwortham and Preston. So there was once a very, well, there still is, a very, very powerful spring in Preston itself, the city centre, and that is still going today. Fantastic water, and it's been shut down just like all the other springs in the country. Well, not shut down, but kind of the well has been shut off. The spring is still running, but yeah, the Preston, Penwortham, and the whole, I'm talking about the whole of the country, if not the world, all use spring water to power their towns. And I've talked about this on loads of videos. And so companies like United Utilities, the corporate entities, decided that they didn't want us to drink that anymore. They wanted to make money and ruin our health. So yes, they then destroyed what we should be drinking. So yeah, and I'm going to show you that Penwortham also was once used the spring network to not just drink, but they would have bathed in it. They would have done everything with the spring water, just like Silverdale, where I went with the wood well that I showed you on the other videos. That was once used. I could see the pipes going from the spring, and that was the town of Silverdale would have used the spring at Woodwell, just like Penwortham would use the 3 springs that are around here. So the spring is on the road that just goes past over there. They made that road and it actually went over. There was a field there originally, and they used to make, I hear pilgrims used to actually come to visit this sacred well. And the site was just down there. They've covered it over by the road. All that's left is like a head that I'm going to show you where there's some water will be coming out, although it's not coming out anymore. But the source of the spring, I'm going to show you where that is. Not going to go right to, but I'm going to just tell you. And yeah, that's the spring that was down there. The castle is only about 200 meters, 300 meters from here. The castle would have used the well from down there, and there's two others that are meant to be around this area as well. So this road about 200 years ago, I don't know when this was exactly built, maybe even 100 years ago, wasn't there. It was just fields and woodland. It was connected to Hurst Grange Park down there, and again it goes way far, really far down there. So this is a new road where the well was just around there. I'm going to show you now. I'm just going to take a picture of it because it's busy at the side of the road, so I'm going to take a picture of it so you can see it. The source of the spring is in that field just across from this. The dual carriage separates the well that we used to go. It was underneath here, and the source of the spring is at the other side of the road. It's in a field and it never runs dry. It's so powerful, the spring. I went to see it. I went to find it, and it's just constantly bubbling up from the whole of the field, from the centre of the field, and then the whole of the field is constantly saturated in water. So it was an extremely powerful spring that the castle once used, and that used to provide for the whole of Penwortham. Yeah, so you can get the bigger picture as to what I'm seeing when it comes to the true history of this area, I'm going to attach the woodland now, the ancient woodlands, instead of actually going there because I haven't got time today, so I may as well just do the previous footage when I went there. So where the ancient woodland is in the direction that I'm facing now, the castle is in this direction over there. And then the lake is also much further down the way I'm facing here towards the west. So yeah, so this is the true history of this area: the castle, the ancient woodland, the spring networks, and the biggest freshwater lake in England. And you can put them all together, and they are in a vicinity of about 20 miles. Thank you very much for watching this video, everybody, and I hope you've got a better picture as to what this area really was, and it's very close to my heart. This area is the place I've grown up, so to get to the true history of this place is my duty, and not to just see it as a little village that doesn't have any personality. These houses were built after it. The landscape's been ruined, and yeah, we need to make sure that nothing like this happens again, and maybe one day we'll see it go back to its original form. High hopes for the lake, because the pump houses that are still working in the lake to pump the lake, I think are still working, so maybe one day that will go back to its original lake form, because it's a natural lake down there, so who knows. But yes, I'll see you on the next video, everybody. Thank you very much for watching.